budget insurance. Affordable because you can't afford not to.
Hello and welcome to the inside of the brand new Audi RSQ8. Quite a badass name, that RSQ8. It's quite fun to say. I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But before we start this review, remember Cars.co.za is the best place to find your next car for a bunch of reasons. I'm not going to go into them now. It's going to take really long. And you want to know about this car. So let's just get straight into the review. Here we go, the Audi RSQ8 on a racetrack in Cape Town. Why am I using this voice? Right, so Audi South Africa went and launched all their RS models in one big fat bonanza, and this has made my life very difficult because we have a lot of cars to film. But anyway, I'm not complaining, always nice to drive a new RS model. And I've been looking forward to this RSQ8 because I've been quite curious about it. I mean, this is the same chassis that you get underneath the Lamborghini Urus, except it costs half as much. So, is it half as good? So let's hit the numbers quickly for you. We've got a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 engine up front under the bonnet, pushing out 450 kilowatts of power. I don't know how much horsepower that is. We'll put it on the screen for you. And 800 of newtons meters. That translates into a 0 to 100 time of 3.8 seconds, which is quite fast for an SUV. It's actually really fast. And we've just proved that in the real world, this Audi is quick. If you haven't seen our drag race against the GLE 63, go check it out. So this is a properly quick car. Audi weren't playing around when they built this thing. And not only does it have better real world speed with that power deficit, but if you look at the cost of this car compared to its rivals, this is like the bargain of the century. So let me take you through it, right? And I'm going to compare it to BMW X5M, Mercedes GLE 63, and the Range Rover Sport SVR. This car is listed at about 2.3 million in South Africa, which makes it 300,000 Rand cheaper than the X5M, about 300,000 Rand cheaper than the Range Rover Sport SVR, and, wait for it, 600,000 Rand cheaper than the GLE 63, a car which I really do not like at all. That's a story for another day. 600,000 Rand! You could buy this and like an RS3 with the change. I mean, that's insane. So is it 600,000 Rand worse than a GLE 63? No, I actually think it's 600,000 Rand better. Here are some of the reasons why I think that. RS mode is engaged on the steering wheel. You've got two RS modes to choose from, and that changes the dial setup in front of me. I now have vertical tachometers, rev counters, quite interesting. On my right, power and torque. RS1 opens the exhaust as well. Let's go into RS2. And there's no real launch control program, but it will let you build up the revs on the brakes, and that's when this happens. It actually squiggles under acceleration. We're already up to 140 k's an hour. This thing is nuts. 170. An SUV has no business being that fast. That is just unnecessary, but really quite cool and enjoyable. Right, here's the interior of the Audi RSQ8. My first gripe with it, I don't have many, one or two, it doesn't look special enough in my opinion. It's a great interior, but the problem is that it's identical to the one you get in a normal A8 or in the SQ8, and now I'm in the RSQ8, the most special Q8 you can buy, and I just feel like I don't want the ordinary Q8 A8 interior. You know, want something a little bit more special. But you do get this very nice RS wheel, which feels very sporty in your hand. And overall, I do like the way they've designed the cabin sort of structurally, so to speak. It feels like the cabin shrinks around you, but there's still a lot of room in here. It's still very comfortable, but it does feel like you're sort of in a cockpit of sorts. It does feel like you're in a bit of a sports car, or maybe something like a really powerful hot hatchback. And I like that. It makes you feel like you're in control. Another gripe I have is this looks amazing. The graphics on this screen and this screen are incredible, but on this screen in front of me, they're not as good. It doesn't look like the resolution is as high. It doesn't look as advanced or as fancy as the graphics you get over here. So not much to complain about in here, but I do feel like because this is the top Q8, the RSQ8, there should be a couple of little touches in here to differentiate it from every other dashboard that you might find in a high-end Audi. So straight line performance, wonderful. I mean, it's not much slower than the RS6, which is, you know, a lighter, more aerodynamic wagon. So you're not losing too much if you go for this SUV in terms of just brutal straight line acceleration. And another place where I think it has one up on some of its rivals is in the corners, because this car is quite light compared to its rivals. 200 kgs lighter than the GLE and a good 100 kgs lighter than the Range Rover Sport SVR. And you can really feel it. I've just driven this car back to back with the GLE around this racetrack, and compared to that Merc, this thing feels nimble. It feels light on its feet. Audi have done a fantastic job with the suspension in here. It is air suspension, but this car feels chuckable. I really wasn't expecting that. Super grippy, obviously, because of Quattro. When you just throw it into a corner, aim at the apex, let it run a little bit wide, get on the throttle early because you've got the confidence of Quattro. And this thing feels like a sort of a fat hatchback. I'm having fun. And this is coming from someone who generally doesn't like SUVs. I should point that out. I'd much rather be in a station wagon. But I'm trying to be impartial, trying to let my biases go. Damn it, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm a bit annoyed about that. SUVs shouldn't be fun. It's not allowed, not fair. You've got the sporty feel in situations like this. Out in the normal world, in the real world, on real roads with crappy bumps and all the rest of it, potholes and manhole covers, it's a really good daily drive. You would be totally comfortable driving this car. And that is impressive because this test unit is running on 23-inch wheels. 23! It's the biggest wheels I've ever seen in real life. How much do these tires cost? So, you've got 2 million Rand burning a hole in your pocket, 2 and a bit-ish, and you're trying to decide between a wagon or an SUV. They've got the same engine, they have similar names, they kind of look-ish similar, but because you're South African, you're going to ignore the wagon, and it's a story for another day. Not going to have that fight now. But which one should you buy, right? So you're looking at the RSQ8 or the RS6. Both very practical cars, both very usable cars. Great to daily, in my opinion. Great to do long distance in. To me, they're about as good as each other. They really are. It's that close. I'm not sure if I didn't have an SUV bias, and I really love that RS6, I'm not sure which one I would choose. But I do think that RS6 just has a bit more gravitas, a little bit more character, a bit more presence, in my opinion. I think the problem with SUVs now is everyone has one, so you just sort of blend into the crowd, where with that RS6, you're in a freaking RS6, man. You look good. You know, you're in an Avant. No one else has a freaking Avant. Everyone's got an SUV. Be different. Choose something different. Get yourself an RS6. Okay, so this is awkward. This is an RSQ8 review, but I'm advocating for you to choose the RS6. So feel free to ignore me, you know, just go with what you like. But in isolation, compared to the other Audis in the RS stable and compared to its competitors, I think this is right up there. I think Audi have absolutely nailed it with this RSQ8. It's a car that I would be happy driving every single day, and you just know that you'd have fun with it when you got the opportunity, and you just know that you could fit everything in the boot and tons of space in the back seat. Not particularly efficient, let's be honest, but no twin turbo 4-liter high powered engine was ever going to be. So that is a downside, but I suspect if you're spending 2.3 million rand on a car, you're not terribly worried about the price of tires or how much fuel you're going to be needing. Thanks very much for watching. If you've just watched this video but you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, you absolutely should do that immediately right now. Click the subscribe button. It's a good idea for a bunch of reasons which I actually don't have really a lot of time to go into. But it's good. It's a good idea. Excellent. Thanks for watching. I said that already.
Budget insurance. Affordable because you can't afford not to.